Hey, I'm so glad to see you today on Daily Hope. I'd like to talk with you about the pain that's in your life right now. Maybe it's physical pain, maybe it's relational pain. I don't know where there's pain in your life right now, but we're up to about 7,000 people a day who get this on their phones, and there's many more on social media. And with a group this size, surely some of you today are going through something difficult. We're going to spend the next few days on one of my favorite passages in Scripture as it relates to pain. It's about Paul the Apostle. He had a physical affliction that he calls his thorn in the flesh. And it was physical, but it was also emotional and spiritual. And the first idea I want to give you, we'll spend a few days on this, is that there's always a purpose in our pain. And we don't always see it immediately, and that doesn't mean that God is the author of our pain. Here's what Paul says. The context here is Paul's describing a vision where God actually carried him up to heaven, to paradise. And you may remember from Paul's conversion story, his name had been Saul. He was persecuting the church. Jesus appeared to him, spoke to him directly in a blinding light. It made him go blind, and he had to be healed by another believer. So Paul was given very unique revelations that average Christians aren't given. And Paul says that one of the reasons that God allowed his thorn in the flesh was to keep him from becoming proud, to keep him from thinking he was better than other Christians, rather than he was just given those things to serve other Christians. So here's what he says in verse 7. To keep me from becoming proud, I was given a thorn in my flesh. Now, the word flesh means your muscles, your body. So this was a physical malady. Many people believe his blindness may have returned. We don't know exactly what his thorn in the flesh was, but listen to this. Paul says, God allowed it so that I wouldn't become proud, but guess who was actually causing it? Not God, Satan. Here's exactly what he says. I was given a thorn in my flesh, quote, a messenger from Satan sent to torment me and keep me from becoming proud. This is a great example of the reality that it's Satan who is the author of pain. Cancer comes from Satan, division, heartache, divorce. All the pain in our lives ultimately traces back to Satan and his work in the world. And yet, God promises always to turn what Satan means for evil for good. We often look at Joseph in the book of Genesis, who says at the end of his life, what you meant for evil, God meant for good. And here, Paul, of his thorn in the flesh, says, it's from Satan. Satan's causing this pain in my body and in my spirit, but God is going to use what Satan's doing to keep me from becoming proud so that I can be the kind of humble leader I'm supposed to be. Now, I want to encourage you today, where there's pain in your life, if God has allowed it, he will bring good from it. And if God has allowed it, there's a purpose in it. And you can be like Paul, and you can trust God in your pain. I've written an entire book about finding God in your pain. It's called I Am Strong, and it's actually based on this passage. I'm going to put a link at the end of today's Daily Hope to the audio version. You can listen to it for free. And if you know someone who's going through cancer treatment, or they're in the hospital, or they're going through a divorce or the death of a loved one, please send them this video and that link so that they can listen to hours and hours of these promises from God. But that's all for Daily Hope, and I will see you tomorrow.